Hello everyone, I am Tao Kong, the Chief Operating Officer of Alcen Renewable. I am joined here today by Nancy Rader, the Executive Director of California Wind Energy Association, an industry advocacy group that focuses on advocating for the wind industry in the California market. Now, many of you heard the term RPS before, or the Renewable Portfolio Standard. But did you know that Nancy is the person that originally coined the term and came up with the concept and the blueprint for what we know as the RPS today. So we're very honored to have you here joining us today talking about the wind industry and the market in California.
Thank you, Tao. It's good to be here.
Now, Nancy, as the Executive Director of CalWEA, can you tell me a little about how CalWEA started?
Yeah. In around 2000, I was aware that a deal was being done in Sacramento and the wind generators in California were not at the table. And I let them know. They said, well, would you go there and represent us at that table? And I did. We were successful, and that's how CalWEA started. And that's really kind of representative of what the industry needs to do. Half of it is just showing up, giving your perspective, your ideas, the facts, and it's difficult to influence public policy, but it is actually not as hard as one might think.
Right, so specifically, CalWEA showed up and helped the industry to get a better deal, better policy.
Yeah, simply by showing up and voicing our issues and our concerns. And democracy works just by showing up. It's not all rough and tumble. Some of it is just good ideas and legislators wanting to do the right thing.
Great. Nancy, it seems like there's a lot that CalWEA needs to accomplish. What is the CalWEA model and how is it unique in making all of this happen?
Well, our model is to really go out and get the best experts for the work that we do. So we don't have a lot of staff. But when we need the experts, we call upon them, and we have some of the best. We have Darius Shirmahamady, who's a PhD in electrical engineer, who has been the head of transmission planning for the Cal ISO, has worked in several utilities and other places. He's very effective in understanding the transmission issues, not only technically, but strategically. Then we have Winston and Strawn, our lawyers, that have a lot of expertise in contracts, markets, things like that. And then we have Annie Mudge, our siting advisor, who has done the permitting for the lion's share of wind projects in California and knows a lot about permitting and siting. And then we have lobbyists in Sacramento. So we're able to accomplish quite a bit on a relatively modest budget because we have people who really deeply understand these issues.
Right, so most of them, because they also serve as consultants, were actually developing projects.
Yes.
There's a direct first level access to the problems that developers see, and that becomes how policies are shaped.
Right, that's sort of our pipeline. We see the problems, they feed them to CalWEA, we go address them. So there's a very good nexus between the problems that developers are facing and the solutions that we're able to work on.
Great. Now we're talking about the RPS. In the California market, what is our current RPS goal?
33% by 2020 and 50% by 2030.
And how are we doing on that?
We are ahead of schedule on the 33%, and I think that has a lot to do with the policy itself, which really requires all the institutions like the Cal ISO to get engaged and make renewables work. And they did a great job.
It sounds like CalWEA is a very important industry advocacy group. And like you said earlier, if you are not at the table, then you don't get anything out of it. So it's important that people, companies, and groups that are in the wind industry in the California market or trying to get into the California market to support organizations like CalWEA in order to receive updates on policy level, have access to policy level advocacy, and essentially access to experts, and being able to know firsthand the information that's going on here in this market.
That's exactly right. I think that our long-term policy goals are very achievable. 50%, 60% RPS, it's very technically achievable, and really the question, are we going to do it in a smart way that's not going to be rate shock for consumers?
And Nancy, you were able to provide a lot of insights and wisdom to the wind industry here in California today. What would your message to the public be for someone that's viewing this video?
Well, I guess I've seen a lot of change in 15 years. When we started without an RPS, this was a pretty ambitious goal that we are achieving right now. We've got much more ambitious goals ahead, but what's really clear is that if we work hard and bring people along to work on these problems we face, we can achieve those big goals.
Awesome. If you'd like to find out more about CalWEA, you can click this link right here or visit CalWEA's website at calwea.org. That's spelled CalWEA.org. Thank you for watching.